try it one more again. Try it one more again. Shite. All right. Well, all right. Well, let's do it again, I reckon. Yeah, yesterday I spent a long time wading through muck and cleaning out pond filters. But I mean, yesterday, especially after I got out of the pond and actually pulled the old pump out of there and all the muck from that, like it was just pea, bright green pea soup, the whole pond. It was gross. Now it's like 70% more clear, and it hasn't even been 24 hours yet. So I'm a bit of a pond wizard, I might say. Some might call me. But yeah, I thought that was a little weird last time. So when you start these lives, you have to set up your little things and all you want. Last time I did all that, and when I started it, it immediately took all this down. So that probably had something to do with why the last stream was a little strange there. For some reason, it glitches out sometimes. I don't know why it does that, but it definitely does, though. Anyway, maybe we got somebody here. What does that say, Sheen?
Well, let me make sure I'm reading that right. He said Christianity is an enemy of freedom and justice.
Yeah, you want to read it again? Make sure you got it right.
I don't agree with that, man. Let me tell you something. My mom is one of the first black judges in Pennsylvania, right? And she told me, like, back in the days, like in the 40s and the 30s, how fucked up white people were. And then it seems like once y'all found out that Jesus was a man of color, all this shit has changed. Like, we're watching it. We're just watching you, man. We've been watching y'all for the past 400 years, man. Let me tell you something, man. Not all white folks.
Wait a minute. What kind of rant is this? What exactly are you talking about?
Well, that's what I was trying to finish. What I was saying, you know, not all.
Yeah, but you don't get to come up here and just start a rant. We actually have to have a conversation.
No, I'm answering your prompt. I'm going by what your prompt is saying. I'm not starting no
right
shit.
Here. Christian values.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I disagree with that.
Is 100% pro-slavery.
No, that's bullshit. That's white people
bullshit.
Shit. Yeah, that's white supremacy bullshit.
We know what it is,
man. We're watching you, man.
Listen,
we've been watching y'all for decades, man.
Are you there?
I'm there, man.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother.
So let's be clear here and have a conversation. Are you a Christian?
No, I don't have a religion, but I have a relationship.
Okay, well, we are talking to Christians, sir. If you're going to come up here and simp for a religion that you're not even part of, you're just weird.
Hold on. But I do follow Christ. I do follow his teachings.
That is a Christian. That's what a Christian is.
No. There you go.
Christian is a Christ-like. That means you follow Christ. So are you ashamed to even admit you're a Christian?
That doesn't mean that I have a religion.
Are you ashamed to admit you follow the white people religion?
No.
Okay. So show us in the Bible where it condemns slavery even one time, because I can show you a whole bunch of spots where it says you can own slaves.
So you're talking about in the 1600s again?
I'm talking about in the Bible, sir.
You're talking about in the 1600s.
I'm talking about in the Bible, sir.
You're talking about the 1600s.
I'm talking about in the Bible, sir.
It does not
say.
Okay, show me. I think that you misled, man.
Show you what?
I just think that you're misled. Once you found Jesus,
what do you want me to show you in the Bible?
Once you found out that Jesus was black, you changed your whole shit up.
Jesus ain't black. That's just
what y'all doing,
imaginary.
Man.
Jesus is imaginary.
Whatever.
What do you want me to show you in the Bible?
I want you to show me that first of all, our own peoples enslaved us. White people had nothing to do with that. We already know that. That's number one. Show me in the Bible.
Bought you from your
show
own
me
people,
in the Bible. Show me in the Bible that God condoned slavery. Show me.
All right. I would love to. Thank you. Now, when I show you this, are you going to have
read all of it? Don't give me a verse.
I will.
Don't give me a verse. Read all of it. Read all of it.
I will.
Because y'all have a habit of reading portions of shit.
I'm not denying you.
And come on social media preaching to every fucking body. telling lies.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
All right, do
I'm
that.
exposing how ignorant these Christians like you are, because it definitely
I'm
condones
not a
slavery.
Christian.
So
You keep disrespecting me. If we was
you
in
are a
public, I would have
Christian.
knocked your
You
fucking
follow
teeth
Christ.
out your mouth for being
Yeah, I
disrespectful.
bet you would have.
I
Yeah, you're a
would have.
big dog.
You're white,
ain't you?
I'm black.
Yeah,
I would have fucked you up.
yeah,
You
I
already
know.
know what it
I know.
was. You already know what
That's
it
what
is.
y'all do is punch people. All right, so you
Whatever.
ready?
We still
We're
gonna
read.
fuck y'all up. We still gonna fuck y'all up. This ain't over yet. For every
Hello?
lie that y'all
You want me to
told, we
read your
still,
book?
man, we gonna kill every
All right.
last one of
All
you.
right, you're gonna have to shut the fuck up there for a second. All right, now I'm gonna read you your book, and it says, "This is God condoning slavery." You ready? It
You
says,
sure
"As
that's
for the
God?
male,"
You sure that's God?
I'm gonna need you to shut the fuck up for just a moment. All right. As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from the aliens residing with you,
Philly is
and from
my
their
house,
families who are with you,
nigga.
who have been born into your. All right, I'm gonna need you to shut the fuck up when I'm trying to read your book to you, buddy. All right, I was almost done. It says you may also acquire them from the aliens residing with you, and from their families who are with you, who have been born into your land, and they may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. And in Exodus 21, it says, when you buy a male Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, but in the 7th year, he shall go out a free person without debt. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. Now you can unmute and you can talk if you want.
Okay, first of all, okay, I'm not a Hebrew. That's number one. Number two, that is some shit that happened a very fucking long time ago in the 1600s, all right? This is not the 1600s no more, dickhead. You the type
let's not go
motherfucking
back
race.
there.
You are a white supremacist. You're trying to get many people.
You can take your fucking bullshit ass rant somewhere else, man. Nobody gives a flying fuck about listening to your fucking dumbass racist rant. All right. This channel's for conversations, buddy, so fuck off. All right. Let's try the next one. Manuel.
Yeah, hello. What's going on?
What's up, buddy? Are you a Christian?
Yeah,
Cool, man. So please prove my prompt wrong.
I like to talk about those verses you just said, and from what I've heard, the slavery of the Bible is totally different from the slavery, like American slavery. And I've actually heard that, American slavery in the Bible is condemned. Like you can't like it was like a different thing. There was like I don't want to mess it up, indentured servitude, where you could basically offer yourself off as a slave. And, like say you owe somebody a debt, you'd be like, okay, I'll be your slave for 8 years. So, when God is regulating slavery and giving slaves rights, he's giving, also the people
Giving
that put
slaves rights.
themselves in. Yeah, God is putting, the people that offer themselves into slavery rights. And I would say also that, in the same way, God doesn't want us to get divorced, but, he made divorce because he knew that humans were going to sin. It's not like he's endorsing people to, to sin and to divorce each other, but he made divorce
Well,
for
if God
that.
allows you to divorce, then getting divorced isn't a sin, though.
I'm not saying getting divorced is a sin. I'm saying that he's regulating marriage for humans
Well, I mean,
because
how did he
humans are going to
regulate
mess it up.
marriage?
You said what?
Oh, never mind. Oh, let's not get too far off track here. So, what if I told you that in the Bible, God actually forbids indentured servitudes and he allows chattel slavery, just like in the antebellum South? What would you say to that?
Where does he forbid indentured servitude?
In verse 39 of Leviticus 25, it says, if any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. They shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. So God forbids that you make someone serve as a slave if they try to sell themselves to you.
Mm-mm.
But he goes on to say, as for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from the aliens residing with you and from their families who are with you, who have been born into your land, and they may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. And here, is the lawful definition of chattel, a movable article of personal property, and a person being considered to be property, an enslaved person. So that's literally the definition of slavery in the South, permitted by God.
Mm. I don't know. Like when I've heard like other Christians like talk about this topic, like a lot of what I've seen is like they'll say like, back then like slavery was just, it's not like it was just, doctored into every society, like every society had slaves, not just
Yeah.
the Israelites. And I would debate that. I would, if I was living back then, I'd rather, want to be a slave to the Israelites because at least you get rights. At least, they,
Shit,
there's,
not me. This
at
would be the
least they,
last ones I would sign up for.
so would you rather, be a slave to like the Persians where they're like, they just do
Yeah,
anything to you?
Marduk. Yeah, he had far more humanitarian slave laws than the Hebrew Bible had. And that was 1,000 years older.
Wait, say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Have you ever heard of the Law Code of Hammurabi?
Isn't that Babylon, Hammurabi?
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
Bible calls
Yeah, I
the
think I've heard of that
Babylonians
before.
evil.
Isn't that basically where he says, if you kill somebody's son, then they can kill your son or something like that?
It might. I don't know about that. But what it does say is it limits all indentured servitude to 3 years, where the Hebrew Bible limits it to 6 years, and that's only for male Hebrew Israelites. So which one's better? The one that limits all indentured servitude to 3 years, or the Hebrew Bible where it gives male Hebrew Israelites 6 years to serve? Which one's
Well,
better?
I think it matters how the slave is being treated, in those years because you can be there
Oh
three
yeah.
years and
Well,
it can be
let's
absolute
solve
hell.
that real quick. It says when a slave owner beats a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner will be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property. That's what the Bible. So it says you can beat the shit
Hold
out
on,
of
hold
them as long as they don't die within a 24-hour period.
on. Okay. If you were an Israelite back then and you have slaves living with you and they go and they beat your child, you know, there's gonna be consequences for that instance. So
Yeah.
they're talking
Yeah, but
about,
what if you tell a slave to like go clean up some cow shit in the yard and they don't do it fast enough? You can beat the shit out of them for that too, right?
reread the verse one more time, please.
It says when a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner will be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property.
Yeah, but I mean, then again, it's telling, it's punishing the owner for doing evil. If you beat the shit out of your slave and he
No,
dies,
no, no. It's only if they die immediately. If they survive 24 hours and then die, there is no punishment at all.
if they survive 20 hours and then
Yeah.
die, there's no.
Have you ever had the living shit beat out of you? I have.
No,
And
I
my
haven't.
life wasn't even close to I wasn't even close to actually losing my life. I just had the shit beat out of me. But you can severely beat another human being before their life is actually in danger. So the fact that this is saying if they survive a day, there is no punishment just goes to show how hard that you can beat a slave without putting their life in danger. So I mean, this
This
is
is this
horrible,
is
horrible
tough. This
stuff.
is tough because I've seen this verse refuted before, but maybe I'm just not the guy that
How would you
you're looking.
refute it?
Well, I've heard like Elijah Johnson apologetics talk about this exact topic. I'm kind of cloudy on like the things that he might have said about it because as a Christian I have looked into these things before. Like when I heard about these verses, I've looked for answers from other people because I couldn't answer it, and I heard decent answers that make me be able to sleep at night and make me still be able to believe. You know, and
So you're saying you wouldn't be able to sleep at night if this wasn't kind of like
if
explained to you in
nobody,
a
if
better
no Christian could
context than
ever,
what we seem to be reading it in?
if no Christian could ever refute any of these claims, then I wouldn't be a Christian. Like if you know everybody answers, they ask all these questions, and all the answers are bullshit, then I couldn't be a Christian. But you know, I
So
would.
give me any sort of answer that's not bullshit that says it's okay to beat someone as long as they don't die within a 24-hour period.
Well, I mean, like I said, you know,
Well, I mean, if
I've
you can't do it, why are you holding this religion? Why are you letting somebody else dictate how you sleep at night?
well, I mean, just because I can't answer a tough question, that means I should abandon the whole religion.
If you're holding a position of a religion
But I
and
said
you
I've
can't
heard the
even
question
explain
answered.
something you said you can't sleep at night over, you should probably reconsider it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and I've heard, you know, this answer. Like I said, I can't quote exactly, you know, exactly what the guy said, but the answer was good enough for me.
Well, there's
You know,
apologetics for all this stuff. It doesn't mean they're right. It just means they're making shit up that's not true about the text.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I can differentiate, you know, the bullshit from, you know, what's right, and I would say like about that verse where he's like, what, like, is there, like, we were talking about what's better, and you said, you know, you brought up that verse. Is there, like, in the Hammurabi, you know, in the Hammurabi shit, is there, you know, a way that they say that you can treat your slaves or whatever? Is there, like, any regulation to how they
It's
say that?
about the same, really.
Well, what did they say, like, exactly in the text?
You mean in the Hebrew text or the?
No, the Hammurabi stuff, because, like I said, I've heard, you know, small pieces of that.
Oh, I don't know. I just know it limits. When it comes to actual slave laws, almost every one comparably is better in the Law Code of Hammurabi, as far as timelines and stuff. But
Yeah, I
females,
was.
especially, have way more rights in Sumeria and Acadia than they did in the Hebrew Bible. That's for sure, because they had zero in the Hebrew Bible. So
Yeah,
it's
but
better in regards to slavery, humanity, and women especially.
Yeah, but can you show me like with the Hammurabi stuff, like you know, something, I don't know if they like have verses or something. I don't even know, you know, where you're
Well, it's just
pulling that
law
in.
codes. It lists the laws out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on my phone. I wish I could look it up for myself, you know, but
Hold on, what? Let's tell you what I'll do. We got an expert here, a PhD Assyriologist.
Hey guys. Um, yeah, if you want, I can read you some of them. I mean, there's a bunch of different sections in Hammurabi's law collection that talk about slavery. But I'll just pull it up. Give me just a second. Probably should have done this before I came up, but
Eh.
live and learn. So yeah, there's a very popular section. So if a man, this is Law 115, if a man has a claim of grain or silver against another man, distrains a member of his household, and the distrainee unalives a natural unalivement while in the house of her or his distrainer, that case has no basis for a claim. If the distrainee should unalive from the effects of a beating or other physical abuse while in the house of her or his distrainer, the owner of the distrainee shall charge and convict his merchant, and if the distrainee is the man's son, they shall unalive his, the distrainer's son. And if the man's slave, he shall weigh and deliver 20 shekels of silver. Moreover, he shall forfeit whatever he originally gave as the loan. 117, if an obligation is outstanding against a man, and he sells or gives into debt service his wife, his son, or his daughter, they shall perform service in the house of their buyer or of the one who holds them in debt service for 3 years. Their release shall be secured in the 4th year. So that's just 3 in a section. There's more, but yeah, they're just, as you can hear, they're pretty much on par with what you see in the Hebrew Bible. Sometimes a little better, sometimes a little worse. from our modern vantage point.
Your teacup, Emmanuel.
You said what? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying if he was teacupped, in case you didn't know.
Oh no. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, like when I heard that, like, can you just say, like, from what you just said, like, whatever it talks about for like just strictly the treatment of slaves, like not like how long you keep them or.
Yeah, so that's what those first two laws were trying to get at. So in the ancient Near East, there's just like we do today, there's a way that the law tries to ascertain, like liability. And here, these two laws are being explicit about it. They're saying if there is an unalive natural, there is no basis for a claim against that master because it was deemed that the gods decided that person was going to unalive. But then the text says in the following law, if it's because of a beating or abuse, then lex talionis applies. So there's punishment, and it's
So
if it's a free. Yeah, go ahead.
So the punishment for abuse is supplies. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I heard exactly what you said.
Oh no, sorry. So if it's a free person that's gone into servitude, so it says here whether if it's a son, they're going to unalive the creditor's son. So like if I'm in debt to you and you come and you take my son as like a distrainee to, like as a temporary slave to force me to pay, and you beat my son and abuse him and unalive him, then the law says that your son gets unalived. And then it says if you distrained one of my slaves, then you're going to have to, and you unalived it through abuse, then you have to compensate me for that slave, 20 shekels of silver, which would be essentially the price of the slave. So it's lex talionis, right? It's
Okay, I understand now, but how would that be, better for the slave than in Christianity, or not Christianity, but back in the Israelite days?
Oh no, sorry. I'm saying that in this case, it's probably like on par.
On par, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, man, we're essentially arguing over who treated slaves the best, Christians or Babylonians. Like, this isn't a good look.
Yeah, but
I mean, the laws come out.
But like we said, slavery is just something that humans are going to do, regardless if God says don't.
Humans aren't just going to do it.
You said what?
Humans aren't just going to do it. We don't do it now. We fought a war over this 150 years ago.
You think people aren't enslaved right now?
There are people enslaved right now, just not in this country and not legally, if they are.
Well, yeah, not in this country, but we're talking about the world, God could tell people, verbatim, don't have slaves. Slavery is evil. You think that's going to stop people from having slaves?
No, because there's still a lot of Christians out there right now that publicly want to bring back the institution of slavery. And then this time,
and they're wrong.
You know what they got the nerve to say about it this time? They say that the mistake that the South made in America for enslaving people was making it about race. They said they were racist slave owners. That was the problem. We want to be all inclusive. Anybody can be our slave. We're not racist or prejudiced. We'll take any slave there is. Sounds a lot better, don't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't agree with those people. Just because those people, I think that
but they're being biblically accurate is the problem.
No, I don't believe that.
They are. Show me one thing in the Bible that says you can't have a slave, because I can show you a whole lot of passages that says you can have a slave. So if your book says you can have slaves and never says you can't, then it is 100% pro-slavery.
No, my point is it just makes, it makes life better for slaves because people are going to do slavery anyway.
No,
Hold on, can I
what
finish?
is
Can I
better
can I
is
finish one
forbidding
sentence?
slavery outright.
Okay, can I finish? Let me finish one sentence. So,
Sure.
people are going to, regardless of what God said back then or now, people are going to have slaves anyway. God knows this, right? So the only thing God can do is try to make, regulations to make the slavery better for the slaves because people are
Well,
going to do it whether God condemns it or not.
people are still schmurdering each other right now. So why didn't God say, "Hey, I'm going to regulate schmurder to make it better," since people are just going to do it anyway?
Because murder isn't something that, everybody looked at, like people looked at slavery totally different. Murder's always been absolutely, absolutely looked at as evil to everybody, you know.
Yeah, but people
But
still do it all the
slavery,
time, every
hold on, hold
single
on.
day, nearly every
But
minute. People still
slavery
smurder
back then
people.
was like worked into every single aspect of life.
So
Like
what?
murder wasn't hooked into every aspect of life.
Okay.
Slavery, the Israelites and every society back
So
then
was
had
schmurder.
slavery. Like
So was
every
schmurder. They all schmurdered.
But no, murder wasn't a part of the, it wasn't a part of their, their economical system.
It absolutely was. They were built on domination and conquest, just like God allowed. Just like God ordered, in fact. That's murder. If God is allowing you to conquest and conquer other people, He's allowing you to murder and steal from other people, which is biblically accurate, actually, because God only cares if you steal or murder other Israelites, not everybody else.
No, and I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the Amalekites, but God gave the Amalekites
The
time to.
Amalekites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites,
God gives
he
God gives
ordered that
people
they were
time.
all utterly annihilated,
Okay,
all the
but
way
this
from the very top of North Asia,
did all of
all
them
the
die
way
though?
down to Arab. God ordered them all destroyed.
But did
That's a
they all
huge
die?
geographical
But
location.
it's like war language. Like just because I say we're gonna go out there and we're gonna kill them
I
or
know.
whatever, it doesn't
Yeah, God
it
is a
doesn't
war God.
necessarily.
He's a
Or we're
God of
gonna go out
war.
there and
He's a
we're going
God
to
of murder, a
annihilate
God
them.
of genocide. Yeah.
Just because I go out there and say we're gonna annihilate everyone, it doesn't mean we're actually gonna go out and kill everyone. It just means we're going
That's
to
exactly
beat
what
them
it means.
decisively.
That's
No, it
exactly
doesn't.
what it
So if
means.
we're playing
Yes, it
football and I
does, and
said
I
we're
can
gonna,
prove it.
so if we're playing football, right, and I said we're gonna
It
kill them
does, and I
all,
can prove it. It says, "At that time, we captured all his towns, and in each town, we utterly destroyed men, women, and children. We left not a single survivor." You think that's just joking around or like
it says
hyperbole?
later that there were some of them left in the
This ain't
Bible. So,
talking about the Amalekites. This is talking about all the towns around them. It says, "At that time, we captured all his towns, and in each town, we utterly destroyed men, women, and children. We left not a single survivor."
I don't know. This is the first time. This is the first time I've heard that, so I had to look more
It's
into
in
that.
Deuteronomy chapter 2. That was about Sihon, the king of defeating Sihon. But they're all like that. You know what Haram means?
No,
Here, I'll show you. This is how I know it's not hyperbole. They're literally talking about destroying every breathing thing in every town. And I'll show you. Oops. Shit. All right, here we go. I'll have to use two different ones. But anyway, this is Haram right here. This is Haram in Hebrew. Haram means is used in the Tanakh, means something given over to the Lord or under a ban, and sometimes refers to things or persons to be utterly destroyed. This is literally a ritual and literally something that means utter annihilation, killing every breathing thing. So it's not just talk say, we can say destroy everything, but it doesn't really mean destroy everything. This definitely means destroy everything. Utter annihilation is what that means.
I mean, I guess the question is, why did God want them destroyed?
Because he wanted to annihilate them and give the land to the Israelites. And
So
here's the
God,
actual law about that in
so
Leviticus
what
27.
you're
This is
what you're
haram.
saying is
It doesn't
God
say
just
it in
wanted to,
English, but it says
so God
nothing
just
that a
wanted to,
person owns that has been devoted to destruction for the Lord, be it human or animal or inherited landholding, may be sold or redeemed. Every devoted thing is most holy to the Lord. No human beings who have been devoted to destruction can be ransomed. They shall be put to death. And when you haram or devote an entire nation or town to destruction, they have to be put to death. Every single one of them.
hmm,
That's what I'm saying. When it says we left not a single survivor, that's exactly what it means. They did not leave a single survivor. They utterly destroyed men, women, and children. And
I don't
God
know. At
made
the same
those
time, though,
nations come
a
against
lot
them.
of
He
cultures
manipulated
were
their free will.
at the same time, a lot of cultures were, disgusting, and God gave them time to, repent.
They weren't doing nothing the Israelites weren't doing.
So, I mean, yeah, that He punished the Israelites too.
Yeah, I know. He made them slaves. He made them eat their own children. All
So
kinds of
He
stuff.
punished everybody equally, basically.
Yeah, God doesn't take partiality necessarily. He does on men and women. Like in one example, Aaron and Miriam go against Moses. So God gets pissed, so mad, he comes down in person, right, and sets them straight. But when he leaves, he only makes the woman sick. He strikes her with leprosy and not the guy. The guy was just as guilty as the woman, but the woman is the only one he made sick. So he's like misogynistic. Like he'll just give a woman leprosy, but it's like, no, that's a guy. He'll have to do a little more. That's in Numbers chapter 12 if you want to read that one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're just more prepared than me right now. I need to, I obviously wasn't as ready for this conversation as I thought. But
Well, that's cool, man. I actually respect you admitting that. So, I mean, if you want to research it and come back when you're better equipped, I would love that personally.
yeah, I'll probably do that because I don't want to make my people look bad. I think that Christianity is a blessing on the world, and I think that it makes people better people. I think it makes people better people, and it makes society better, whether you believe it or not. You
Cool. Well,
know,
before you go, let me read you what Thomas Jefferson said about Christians. He said, millions of innocent men, women, and children since the induction of Christianity have been burnt, tortured, fined, and imprisoned. Yet we have not advanced 1 inch toward uniformity. What has been the effect of this coercion? To make one half of the world fools and the other half hypocrites, to support roguery and error all over the earth. That was Thomas Jefferson's opinion about Christianity,
hmm, yeah.
which I tend to agree with. Even though he was a hypocrite himself, I'm sure I am too in some ways or another. But
Yeah, so I
so
guess I'll concede for now. Next time I come up here, I'll be more ready. Okay.
yeah, cool, man. Please, like everything we've talked about, like read for the next month if you want to. Like come back here with all the confidence in the world and let's do it again.
For sure. God bless you, man.
Have a good one, buddy. Marduk bless you. All right. Okay. Let's see. We got a violation in there for some reason or another. Well, it went away, but I wonder why it gives us a damn restriction in there. Can't make it more than. Yeah, today's tough. I think TikTok's glitching on me too for some reason. It was never heard from again. We'll take that as a win if we don't hear back from her. Never mind. Maybe we need to go talk to Elijah Johns. I know who that dude is. Then again, I get bullshitted enough about these verses. talk to him. Maybe he'll show up one day. Anyway, the queue is wide open. So if you are a Christian, then please come prove this prompt wrong. Damn, we might have to do another stinking reset, man. We got another restriction on this live. Well, I guess we'll, I don't know. I guess we'll, only thing I know to do is give it a few minutes and see if it actually keeps moving. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Oh, shit. We'll give him a shot real quick. Okay, what's up, buddy?
Friend.
What's going on,
You there?
man? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, man? Prove the prompt wrong then.
Yeah, well, there's a lot in this prompt. I was curious though, like on the slavery issue, have you ever heard the song "Oh Holy Night"?
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have. You probably sang it in church.
Holy night.
No, that's that's a mashup.
What?
That's a
Who's that
mashup.
one? Shit. Well, you
That's,
sing the other one to me so I know what it is.
It's "Oh Holy Night, the stars are brightly shining."
Oh, holy night, the stars are shining. No, that was the right one.
I thought you were singing a different tune, but anyway, the third verse is often not sung on the radio, and it talks about the whole song, the whole hymn was created as anti-slavery Christian hymn because of Jesus and who he is.
So you're disproving the prompt with a Christian hymn?
Well, I mean, it's an icebreaker, I guess.
I guess.
I mean, if it's pro-slavery, no one would come up with a hymn that says, "Truly taught us to love one another. His law is love and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother." You know, it was a anti-slavery hymn.
That's just saying slaves are brothers, not you shouldn't own slaves.
And at his name, all oppression shall cease. So you have to recognize someone's your brother in order to free them, right? Or to bring them to where you are, you know? Like you have to see them the way you see them as not
Well,
a
that's the
slave.
thing, because I think Christians see themselves as slaves. So when it says, like, do unto others, they don't mind having slaves because they consider themselves a slave, is what I think.
Right. That's, yeah. That's why it's a complex topic.
Yeah. That's pretty straightforward, though, I think.
Well, so, I mean, there's two different realms. And one thing that I think happens is in churches today is we mix up the church and state.
Yeah, not supposed to be doing that. It's un-American.
Right. But even before America, I mean, like the nature of Christ's kingdom is not like the kingdoms of this world. And so I think that a lot of times there's a lot of groups over here that try to, invade the state and make it like they see that as the same as the Christian kingdom, right? So
Yeah.
they push
Yeah,
for
the founders
values.
warned us that the church would try to steal the government and the power.
Right. So, but the question, like, is that Christian to try to make the state Christian? Like, is that a Christian move? You know,
I mean, I think so. You're supposed to do whatever you can to convert people, aren't you?
through force?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know if anywhere in the nature of the New Testament that says we should force
Well, I
people
mean, well, it's about the convincing. Like in Romans 13, it says you are to submit to governing authorities because God has instituted them. So rebelling against the government is rebelling against God itself. So it's kind of setting up that the government is God to you. So if Christians can control the government, they imagine themselves within the rights to force stuff like Bible reading in schools and all that. Like, you can't jump in somebody's brain and make them be Christian through force, but what you can do is enforce that indoctrination all over the place in their lives and then hope it leads to the most conformity, which it won't. It'll lead to rebellion and bloodshed like it always has. But
amazingly, I most agree with you because, I mean, like, I think it was a trick on the church to say, hey, we need to use the state for these eleemosynary institutions. And I mean, that's the state is force.
I mean, it's in Paul's writings, though.
Well, but what is he talking about? He's not talking about joining Rome. He's saying, let Rome be Rome. Don't like start a revolution. That's not faith, right? To start a revolution.
No. He's saying to submit to that authority.
Right.
This is why I was pushing. Like, he spends quite a while before this kind of setting up the thing that, like, you're a slave to God. Like, even Jesus talks about that. You've been enslaved, freed from sin, and enslaved to God. And now that you're a slave to God, you have to do his will. And God's will is submit to governing authorities. So it's like, I think it's mentally conditioning you to be a slave to the state, to the government.
Well, that's an argument. So what do you do with verses that say, for freedom you've been set free?
Free from sin and enslaved to God.
So what is slavery to God? Like, what does that look like?
Doing God's will. That means you've surrendered your will and you now do the will of this deity or whatever. So you've surrendered your own will. You become property of the deity, and now you do the deity's will. So you've surrendered your faculties of your own will and freedom in order to pick up the will of this deity here.
And it defines what that will is, John 15 and 1 John.
Yeah, keep his commands.
Well, and those are defined in John 15 as well, because otherwise you'll end up being like these one covenant guys. Yeah, have you seen them online?
I've seen a bunch of stuff online.
I'm sure you have. But that's like, they're one covenanters, so they think that submission to the commands is the 10 Commandments, which is bound up in the Torah, which is bound up in the government of the earthly government of Israel. But that's not what that is. I mean, that's...
it's what God says. God's will for you is keeping his commands all the days that you live on the earth. Because that is what's doing good and right in his sight, and that is serving the Lord. What else could he want? Like, what else is there? What could you possibly do besides that?
What are his commands?
Well, he spends like 5 books in the Old Testament giving them out.
Well, this is interesting because, like, this is the argument I have with the one covenanters who are claimed to be Christian, but Jesus defines what those are, and it's not the 10 Commandments, it's not the Torah in John 15. He says, my commands. He makes a distinction between the 10 Commandments and his commandments, right?
Well, John is talking about Jesus like he's God. That's why he's saying stuff like my commands, but he also separates the two, so it's really unclear. That's why this whole thing is so dangerous, because it's not even clear. Like, nobody knows what the fuck they're really supposed to be doing. Like, is the law abolished like Paul says? Does it stand like Jesus says? Does it stand like God says? Are you supposed to do this? Are you not supposed to do that? Paul says you can eat the meat sacrificed to idols. Jesus says you can't. Like, so I mean, this is more dangerous than anything. Unclear laws just lead to 40,000 denominations of Christians. It's so confusing that there's 40,000 denominations of it.
Well, and I agree with you because it's not a book for an everyman. It's a special book for a vocation in the church. It's not for everybody.
Well, it's a library, not even necessarily a book. That's why.
Right. You're right. Right. Yeah. You have to have a decoder ring to use it, and you have to be authorized to use it.
I don't think you can decode it because one code says this and another code says that. It's just contradictions. You have to pick one. You have to say, well, I like this one the best, so let's go with this and discard this. But that's also what makes it extremely dangerous, is that you have to pick and choose which parts you want to follow. Especially when it says stuff like, you can have slaves and stuff. So that part's not confusing. It only says you can have slaves. It never says you cannot have slaves. So that part should be universal. But even that's unclear to most Christians. Like, most Christians think slavery is a sin. But it is not a sin. It is expressly permitted in law. Something that is permitted by the law of God cannot be a sin. So it is not a sin in Christianity.
Where do you get that idea?
That it's not a sin?
That licensure is not the permission to do sinful things.
Wait, what?
Well, license is permission to do something that is wrong.
No. God says you can do it, and it's not wrong. God doesn't let you do things he don't like, and things that he thinks are wrong. He strictly forbids those. Because that's what he says.
He says, I never permit you to do wrong.
Yeah. Do you know what he does to people when they stop keeping his laws?
Right, but killing somebody is wrong, right? But then
no, when God tells you to kill somebody and you don't do it, then that's wrong.
Also,
God's worried about people keeping his commands. His law says you can kill people. It just says don't kill other Israelites.
Like capital punishment, that's a great example. It's wrong to take someone else's life, but he institutes it. It also says
to set a woman on fire if she's a priest's daughter who is sexually promiscuous. It says you have to set her on fire.
You mean Israel?
Yeah, an Israelite, yeah.
Right. That's not Christian, but that's the old Israelite rules, right?
Yeah, but the whole world is welcomed into this covenant. So if you want to get close to God, you have to keep these laws, even foreigners.
So you see a continuity like the one covenanters of the Torah covenant with Christianity.
Well, I mean, there is only, I don't know what you mean by one covenanters. I don't know what those are. But God himself, there's only one law. God says to follow it forever. He even says he's going to send false prophets to test you and see if you'll stop keeping the law. So at no point does God expect this law to stop.
Agreed. I didn't say it ended, but it is tied to a certain people, right? It's not tied to everybody.
No, it's tied to Israelites and foreigners if they want to be welcomed into the covenant.
Into the land, into the congregation.
Into the covenant.
But then Jeremiah says there's a new covenant coming, and Jesus says, this is the new covenant in my blood. So there's a different covenant.
Isaiah 56, the covenant gets extended to all who will obey.
Right, and so these terms are the ones under question, right?
Well, I mean, not really.
Israel.
If you want into the covenant, even foreigners can come and keep this covenant, which is keeping the law.
Yeah, the first covenant, right? There's a new one.
That's what I'm talking about, the new covenant.
Yeah, that's not Moses. Jeremiah says it's going to be a new and different covenant, and not like the ones of the fathers. And that's
they broke the old covenant, so God makes a new one. And it's formed the day that the exiles leave Babylon. And after that, the entire world, if you want to come into this covenant, is welcomed. If you want to, the covenant gets extended to anybody who will obey it, not just Israelites.
So why does Jesus say this is the new covenant at Passover in AD 30?
Because the New Testament's completely made up, and Jesus did not know what he was talking about when it came to the Old Testament. I don't think he could read.
Well, skipping over that,
he says this is the new command, and then he says, love your neighbor as yourself, right?
No.
Oh, what are you talking about then?
Love your neighbor as yourself is old covenant. The new one is love one another as I have loved you, and that's giving up your life for your friends. It's the story. It's the whole story of John. That's John 15.
Oh, it's John. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you're going with John. My bad.
Right. It's a distinction. It's night and day with Old Covenant Torah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's night and day with Jesus and Matthew and Jesus and John too. They're not saying the same things. For some reason, I had Matthew, Jesus in my head, but you brought up John, so yeah, I mean, it's sort of valid if you hold it to, those literal things. But hold on, which verse is that in John, by the way?
John 15. Yeah, scroll down a little bit. I mean, it's all over John 15, but
Did Jesus
I used
claim
to
to
go
be divine? Of course he did. He says, "I'm divine, and you the branches."
I like that. Man, I'm getting my best stuff off of the atheists.
I'll tell you.
I can't remember. Did
All
you go
right,
to?
let me see.
Oh,
Where's that part at? Abide in my love as my Father in me, so I've loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide by my love,
right.
just as I've kept my Father's commandments and abide by his love. Yeah, Jesus was born under the law. So
True.
far, nothing. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, to lay down his life for his friends. If any of your friends, I command you, no longer do I call you servants. For the servant does not know what his master is doing. This is talking about masters again. That's weird. But I have called you friends, for all that I have heard from my... Sounds like it's just talking to the disciples. But either way, this isn't like a new covenant being formed with new laws. The new covenant was formed 500 years before Jesus.
Why do you say that?
It's in Jeremiah 31 and Isaiah and Ezekiel.
Right, he was pointing ahead, and Jesus is the fulfillment of that.
No. The day of salvation in the Old Testament is the day the exiles leave Babylon.
Okay, well, let's leave that on the table. A lot of Christians then are under the mistaken idea then that Jesus is starting a new covenant.
Oh yeah,
What?
yeah. Well, I mean, they just think there's a new covenant, but that's not. Jesus doesn't even know what he's talking about. He's getting all that stuff wrong anyway. That's how I know that the New Testament is completely made up, because it has no freaking idea contextually what the Old Testament is actually about. I don't even think they might have like grazed through it real quick to try to match some stuff up with Jesus, but they had no fucking clue what was going on in the Old Testament, or they would not have said most of the stuff that they said. Like Paul saying that you can only get forgiveness with blood, like you have to shed blood for forgiveness. That's just false. The Old Testament never says that. So it's just stuff like that. That's just one example, you know what I mean? But the
Right.
example that a guy can even die for your sins, like that goes directly against the new covenant. And the new covenant, when it's formed, individual retribution takes over, and each have to die for their own sins. Like you cannot have someone come and die for your sin in the new covenant, according to the Old Testament, anyway.
Just for clarity, did you grow up in church? I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Baptist.
Tongue speaking, rolling in the floor, casting out demons, you name it.
Okay, Pentecostal. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Um, Yeah, I mean, like a lot of these things are the way they see the Bible is either a mine for propositions or new laws or things like that. Yeah, the way that
Yeah, but
the way
that's
the
the
Bible.
thing. Christians, for some reason, think there's new laws given, but there's not. According to God and according to Jesus, the law never changes. Jesus even says in John 15, if you love me, keep all my commands. It's the same thing. It's the same commands. They never change. There's
That would
only
just
one law
establish-
in the Bible, or one set of laws, I should say, but only one, the law. When it says the law, it's talking about the Torah, the law of Moses.
Yeah, sometime. I mean, do you think all words are univocal in the Bible, or?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, because I mean, like Paul even says, not all Israel is Israel. I mean, what do you do then? It's like the same dang word. So it's like,
Well,
what do
it
you do?
depends. It depends. Like, if you're talking about new covenant, then like I said, it can refer to the law can be applied to other people besides Israelites, because foreigners are welcomed into the covenant. It says, if you want to keep my covenant and keep the Sabbath, your prayers will be heard and your offerings will be accepted on my altar. But God says himself, like the sacrifices are never supposed to stop. There's never, the throne of David is never supposed to be vacant. Like none of this was ever supposed to happen. Like the law does not go away according to God.
And it hasn't. It has not gone away. Right. It's been both
Okay, so
abolished
you're
and-
still under the law, right?
Well, I'm not under the Israelite covenant, but it's still established for them. That's
So
why
which
they're still
set
there.
of laws do you imagine that you're under?
What do you mean to be under? What does that mean?
You said the law didn't go away, right?
Yeah, Israel's still bound by that covenant. That's why the curses are still upon them. Deuteronomy 28 through 30, it's still attached to them.
Okay, well, I'm saying you are also under this law because there is only one law, and these commands are what God expects everyone to keep, including foreigners.
And they don't. And now what?
I know they don't. None of you do. That's why it's crazy.
Right,
Y'all are
yeah.
like, come be a Christian and keep the law, and we'll all be happy. Even though none of us actually do it, it's impossible to keep. Like it's insane to think about, really.
Well, it's
Like
an
God
error for
gives
these.
laws that are impossible to keep, and then has to kill a guy to fix the problem. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's a great summary. Yeah, that's good. That's actually spot on. I mean,
Yeah. Well, the law wasn't necessarily impossible to keep, though. It was Jesus in the New Testament who made it impossible to keep because they wanted uniformity. So, like even like Zechariah and Elizabeth, they're completely perfect in the eyes of the Lord and keeping all His command and ordinances. So, I mean, you can do it. There's righteous people in the Bible. Jesus come along. Like, look at it this way. God says, if you want a divorce, get a divorce and give the woman a certificate of divorce. That way she can prove that she's legally divorced and can legally get married again. Like, that's fine. That's not so bad. God says, don't commit adultery. Just don't fuck someone else's wife, and that's all you got to do. That shouldn't be that hard. God says these are easy for you. And I mean, on face value, not fucking, all you got to do is not fuck somebody else. Like, it's pretty simple. But God or Jesus comes along then and says, oh, no. If you even look at a woman with lust, then you have committed adultery. That's what's impossible. Like, you can't stop your mind and your eyes from wondering. However, you can just not fuck somebody. Yeah.
right.
So it was the
Yeah.
New Testament that made the law impossible.
No, well, there. Yeah, this is huge. I liked where Zipsop was going as well. You sound like saying go in the same direction. Like here's what. Let me ask you: when God gives the law and the story to the Israelites, is like, is this hard for you? You know, do you have to go up to heaven to see who's going to bring it down? Who's going to go down to Sheol, bring it up? Like, it's right there. You know, you can do it, right? This is not too hard for you. Do you think he's being straightforward or sarcastic?
I think he was being straightforward. He's not sarcastic with laws that he gives. He he does say, like, sometimes he acts sarcastic and, like, vindictively, but he doesn't just, like, give law codes and then, like, say weird shit in the law. You can't be sarcastic with laws and expect people to take it serious.
Well, but what about not with laws? Yeah, he's going to be serious about the laws, but sarcastic toward them as a people. Like, you can keep these.
Oh, no. All you got to do, God meant that seriously. It's like, don't commit adultery. It should be easy. All you got to do is not fuck somebody else's wife. Pretty straightforward. I don't think that was being sarcastic.
And they sailed on that. They knocked that out of the park. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because they got the first one wrong back in Genesis, where they ate the tree. They didn't listen. They broke one law. All they had was one law: don't eat this tree fruit. And then they did it anyway.
But they didn't have a concept of right or wrong, so they couldn't have known that it was wrong to eat the fruit.
What, he told them they were going to unalive, and then they couldn't have
Yeah,
known
but
that?
he didn't. If they gained knowledge right after that, I would have ate the fruit and said, well, he lied. We didn't die.
Well, they died. Yeah, they died.
Yeah, 900 years later.
Yeah, in the day they were created. That's the first millennium. Yeah. But that's my point was that there's people treat these texts as totally propositional and not there's nothing like sarcasm in them. And so, like when Jesus is talking to the guy about, well, I've kept all these laws since my youth. He goes, oh, okay. And then he's like, wants to self-justify. And then he's like, there's one thing that you lack. Come and follow me, sell everything you have. And he went away sad. So keeping the laws didn't do what he thought it would. Right?
That's not, well, Jesus didn't say you don't qualify.
Why do you say one thing you lack?
Jesus, yeah, well, the guy asked Jesus, he says, what do I do to gain eternal life? And his answer was extremely simple. He said, you know the law, keep it. That was it. And then the guy said, well, I do that. What do I still lack? And he says, well, to be perfect, you have to sell all your shit. But that wasn't.
Follow him.
Yeah, as a cult leader kind of thing, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, the guy was asked point blank. He said, how do I gain eternal life? Jesus said, you know the law, keep it. That was it. If they would have ended the conversation right there, that's where it would have stopped. You know the commandments, keep them.
Right. So was he like affirming that and that you can be justified before God? Or is he throwing him what he wants? Like, is he sort of like, oh, well, here you go. This is what you think. Here you go. You know?
Well, if Jesus was real, he was a cult leader, so he would have had to add to that when that guy said something. So that kind of makes sense to me. That if Jesus wants people to follow him specifically and be his servants and won't, under his kingship when he thinks he's going to be a king, then that would make perfect sense that he would say something like that. But I mean, it also makes sense that the guy asked him, how do I gain eternal life? And Jesus told him exactly what God said to do. Keep the law. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Do you find it interesting that the first covenant doesn't promise eternal life? It just promises that God will protect them as a people on the earth. Like,
yeah, the afterlife's not so important, and it's non-existent, I think, in the Old Testament most of the time. They didn't have the same. That's why I'm saying the New Testament is completely making shit up. Like, that's how I know it's made up, is that it's not even properly using the Old Testament. It's going completely different directions than the Old Testament does. The Old Testament tells its own story. You don't even need the New Testament. Huh?
But it's made up too, right?
Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so
that just makes the New Testament even worse, though. Like, the Old Testament is clearly false. So to believe in the New Testament when it's falsely stating stuff about an already false document doesn't say too much for it. It makes it even look even worse, in my opinion.
Well, that is that's a real hilarious long-term tragedy.
Right? It is. Yeah, it is. This should absolutely be an embarrassment to humanity that it's ran on this long. Like, if the definition of doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result makes you insane, then humans are insane for thousands of years because they've been trying the same shit over and over again. No result. That's what God did. God makes people, he says, act like this. They don't do it. So he kills them all. The next people, he says, act like this. They don't do it. So he kills them all. God's literally doing the same thing over and over again. And actually in Jeremiah, it might have solved for that, because in Jeremiah, God says, if this covenant is broken, it's over for good. Israel will never be a nation before me ever again. Like, it seems like God finally realized, hey, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, so if it don't work out this time, screw it. You're on your own. That's probably what actually happened.
So can I pivot for a second?
Sure.
What do you think of these data? I'm trying to get back to the original post here. What do you think of these data centers?
Oh, I don't know. From everything I've heard, they're probably more damaging to the environment than they are better.
Do you have any idea what the purpose of them is?
Just storing memory and just turning the machines that allow for AI generation.
You don't think they're ultimate
slavery? They might get smaller, though. I don't know. Like, computers started off being the size of a small building, so I mean, and they can sit on in your hand now. So I mean, I don't know.
But these things are like the size of cities. I mean, these things are huge.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like that just because of how much space and stuff it takes up.
But you don't think they're built to enslave us?
Oh, I don't know. Like, AI is aiding supposedly stuff right now, but who knows if it's better or worse. But just a second, Mocha. Let me.
Yeah.
What does this say? We're just. Are you there? We are just. Are you there?
Can I ask you a question?
Well, your signal's really bad, and we can barely hear you.
Oh, sorry, you hear me now better?
Yeah, that's much better. Are you a Christian?
So I believe I am God, and that you are that same God, and that everyone misunderstood Christianity and every other religion today intentionally.
Does that have anything to do with disproving the prompt?
Yes. So I believe that everyone that is against the ideology that you and I are one and the exact same being will not consider their actions, how it will impact the future generation, because they don't believe when they die, it is them who returns back in Altus future life forms. And by that, they are not following Christianity, they are making something Jesus never said. We are all God. And John 14:20, John 10:34, Psalm 82:6, all have mentioned, don't you know that you are all God? We are all one. And so the question to you, why do you believe in a God? And if everything needs a creator, who created God? According to that same logical regress.
Who are you asking that to?
To you, do you believe we are all you? And that you are that
No, I don't. I'm an
fantastic...
atheist. I don't believe in any gods. That's not even kind of
So
sort of close to the topic here.
But if you are an atheist, you still believe in God. You claim that God
Okay.
maybe can
This
be the
is
universe.
sorry, man. Yeah, sorry, man. This is far too wacko for me. I can't. I'll have to learn what an atheist is, I suppose. Hey, Mary. Are you there?
Hi.
Hey, are you a Christian, Mary?
Yes, I am.
Cool. So please, for the love of all that is holy, prove this prompt wrong.
Well, first of all, how is Christianity pro-slavery, and how are our values un-American?
Your values are un-American because America made slavery illegal, and Christianity, as far as the Bible is concerned and God, is 100% pro-slavery. It says you can own slaves.
In the Old Testament or the New Testament?
Both.
No. Old Testament. And that's before Jesus
New
came.
Testament too.
Okay, well, even if it's in the New Testament, that doesn't relate to today. He's not telling us to
Yes,
get
it does.
slaves to the Israelites back then.
Well, then, if nothing Jesus said applies to today, why is Christianity
It's not nothing Jesus
relevant?
said applies to us today. He told us specific things to believe in him and have our values, and not to have slaves. That's not... He's not telling us to have
Jesus
slaves.
never said once, don't have slaves. Jesus said to follow the law, and the law says you can absolutely have chattel slaves.
Is that the law now?
It's supposed to be.
But it's
According
not.
to God, it is.
No.
I know, it's because we moved away from Christianity, because everybody knows Christianity doesn't work as an actual, like, government or law system.
The
It's
president
evil.
in position supports Christianity.
Yeah, I know, and he's bombing the shit out of people right now who are innocent. He is trying to take over other countries in the name of Christianity while
He's not
Christians
bombing
cheer him on
people.
for this shit. Yes, he is.
Iran?
Iran, Venezuela.
Didn't Iran terrorize
We are
Israel?
funding Israel, who is currently bombing about 5 other countries.
That's not my business. This is about Christianity.
Your Christians voted a Christian into power who then started bombing people when he promised he wouldn't, only to have Christians support him even harder. So, yeah, we're talking about Christians here. You can
Okay,
disassociate
so-
yourself, and that's fine, but you're still on the same team as the guy bombing the people,
That
sprinkling the
doesn't
bomb
mean
with
that I
holy
support
water.
slavery, because I don't.
Well,
I'm Christian and
you
I don't support slavery at all.
Well, I know, but you don't support slavery because you're a decent human being, not because you're a Christian. Because as a Christian, you are perfectly permitted to own slaves if you want to. It's not a sin.
Can you tell me where in the Bible it says that we should have slaves?
Yeah, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy.
Bro,
Jesus
that's
tells them-
literally like the...
And
That's like
if
the
I could
first
finish
books
my
of the
sentence-
Bible.
yeah, if I could finish my sentence, that would be great.
Okay, go.
So, and Jesus also tells a bunch of stories using slaves as examples of how you're supposed to act, right? So when Jesus tells these horrible sounding stories using slaves as
Can you
examples,
tell me one of the
I think
stories?
could I please finish my sentence?
Okay.
Okay. then that would have been a really good time for Jesus to say, oh, hey, by the way, you aren't actually supposed to beat or own slaves. But he never does that. Now,
Does he
ask
say
your
we
question.
should beat them?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not.
Yeah, Jesus says in Luke 12, that slave who knew what his master wanted but did not prepare himself or do what was wanted will receive a severe beating. Jesus' words, Luke chapter 12.
Okay, but that doesn't mean like physically beating.
What do you think it means?
Beating of the soul.
So Jesus says his soul will receive a severe
It's just
beating.
it's because it's a sin to do it.
Masters beat slaves with a whip. We're not talking about
But that's not
spiritual whippings
anymore. That's
here.
not how our America and the world now is way different than it was back then.
That's because we moved away from Christianity.
No, we
As
moved
a
away
Christian,
from
listen,
bad,
you
immoral
can't
things.
say as a Christian none of this is wrong. You can say it as a decent human
No, I
being,
can say
but
this is
you can't as a
wrong.
Christian. Not as a Christian.
Yes, as a Christian, because I go to church every
Okay, well,
Sunday and
show
I've
us.
never
Okay,
ever heard or learned anything according
okay,
to
well, show
we
us in
should.
the Bible where it ever says you cannot own slaves, because I can show you where it
There's a lot
definitely
of things
says
the
you
Bible
can't own
doesn't say we
slaves.
can't do, and that doesn't mean that we can do it.
It says you can do it. That's the issue here.
Okay, so how are we un-American?
Because slavery is absolutely illegal here, and today a huge, rich, and powerful sect of Christians are openly and publicly calling to bring back the institution of slavery.
No, they're
because it is
not.
yes, they are.
So
You're
what
either
religion are
ignorant
you?
or lying. You're either ignorant or lying, because
What
they
religion are
definitely
you?
are. I'm an atheist. I don't have a religion.
So how do you think you were created? How do you think life was created?
My parents had sex, and then they
How do
raised
you
me
think
after
life
I
was
born.
created?
I don't know. It probably just started naturally somewhere along the line.
Naturally? It can't
Yeah.
start naturally when there's nothing.
So we've now shifted from slavery to
Yeah.
what
Okay,
are we?
okay.
What's going on here? We can go to that if you
don't
want, but we're
talk
gonna have
over
to. You're gonna have to conclude on the slavery part first.
I don't conclude on that though, because slavery isn't a good
Can
thing.
you
Why
show
would
me anywhere in the Bible where it says you cannot own a slave? It's
I
just
don't
a yes
know.
or no.
I don't know.
Well, the answer is no. I can just tell you, it never once condemns
Like,
slavery as a
Okay,
practice.
maybe it doesn't say you cannot own a slave, but that doesn't like I said, there's a lot of things in the Bible that it doesn't say you cannot do this, and we don't do it.
Well, here's the problem. It specifically says you can do it. So it's not like it's just silent on this matter and you have to build a case off context. It explicitly says you can have slaves all through the thing. It never once says you can't have slaves. It
It
says
says
you
this
can
in
beat
Luke?
your slaves. That's what Jesus said. I'm telling you, that was
It's
one of
in
the
the
stories where
Quran, right?
Jesus is using a slave as an example. And I'm just saying, that would have been a great time for Jesus to say, oh, by the way, you should not beat slaves ever or own another slave. He doesn't say that. He just tells stories using slaves as examples, and they sound disgusting. At least to me. they
Jesus
do.
never had slaves. He let slaves free.
He was too poor.
He wasn't poor. Well,
He was
was.
poor.
Okay, but that doesn't mean he
You said he wasn't,
Okay.
but he was.
No. That doesn't mean he didn't. Okay, there's a story in the Bible where he went and he saved all the people from Jerusalem and he let them free, and then they went through a river and it parted.
What?
That's the story I heard.
You talking about the
Kind of
Exodus?
anachronism there. So, yeah.
When he parted the Red Sea.
You mean Moses.
Moses.
That was Moses in the Exodus. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, I'm sorry.
Isn't that the irony of the Exodus story, right?
What irony?
Well, God them out of the slavery of Egypt, right? But then they became his property.
Okay, wait. Can I say something? Because someone said I'm insanely uneducated. I'm not like die hard, like read my Bible. I don't even like I'll read my Bible when I'm in church and I'll like whatever. I don't read every single book, and I just follow Christianity because I believe in God.
Do you
And I
think it's a
believe-
good idea to join in a religion without completely understanding it?
I was born into this religion.
So you were indoctrinated, basically.
What does that mean?
It means you were raised as that way, and it was instilled in you as a child.
Yes, and it still is because that's what my parents teach me, and that's
So you believe it because you were indoctrinated to believe it, not because it's necessarily true, like you've investigated.
yes, but
it.
I'm still trying to better understand and figure it out because I want to believe it.
You're going to make a great atheist one day.
Stop. No, I'm not because
Well, I mean, you're not
Jesus died
pro-slavery,
on the
so
cross
I
for me.
want you on this team. We need you here because Christians are pro-slavery.
Then prove to me that God isn't real.
What are you talking about?
Prove that God isn't real then.
That's not the
Prove
prompt.
that God isn't real.
If you want me to be an atheist,
Well, God is a figment of your imagination. If you can't prove he is real when you think he is, then you should reconsider your position and not let a random dude on TikTok try to disprove it. I'm telling you, there's no evidence to suggest gods are anything other than figments of imagination. So
there is
just think
evidence.
about that. Take 5 seconds and think about that.
I did when you were speaking.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, if you think God's real, show us your evidence for thinking that.
My evidence is that the universe can't start just like it can't just start like that. It has to be created. And
Who said it did start like that?
you just said it just happened one
No, I
day
didn't.
naturally.
No, I didn't. You asked, that was talking about life. You said, how did life come about? I said, it probably just came about naturally. That was my blasé answer for that.
Well, I'm talking about the world too. Because
Right.
it has to have a start and an end.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
It don't. The universe doesn't. Matter and energy doesn't.
It does. It just hasn't
It
ended yet. So you
doesn't.
don't
Nothing
know.
in physics. No. Nothing in physics. Nothing in the Big Bang Theory says that was the beginning of the universe from nothing. That's not how
Okay,
it works.
okay. Okay, I concede for that. Let's switch the topic.
There's this topic called Christianity is the enemy of freedom. It's up there.
Oh, okay. So Christianity is okay. So my take on this would probably be okay. Let me read it. Okay, so we've already kind of talked about this.
All right,
but-
hold on. No, thanks for coming up, Mary. I can hear somebody whispering to you, like, just like it was. I don't know. Not sure it was a troll, but it was definitely something.
What do you
I hear
think about
somebody
the
whispering.
fact of Christian values? How does that strike you?
Wait, what now?
Well, Christian values, does that strike you as nihilist at all?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, what do you mean by that?
Well, like we often hear of like values in the public square. We want Christian values in our government. And this is like Nietzsche's understanding of nihilism. So it's the
I mean, I kinda like
devaluation of our
Nietzsche,
highest values.
But no, I don't know. I don't agree with Nietzsche for the most part.
For what?
Like the power and stuff like that, nihilism, his version of it.
Why not?
Let's see. I just don't think it. I don't think it's necessarily being untrue. I just don't think it's right. If that makes more sense, maybe I should have said it that way. Oh yeah, and I just say, their Christian values are un-American because Christians say to keep the law and serve God and don't speak blasphemy. It pretty much goes against freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of all that stuff. So that's why I say that. What is going on? What is this? Oh, finally. What in the world is going on here? Oh, never mind. Didn't work again. Hey, Mocha, thanks for coming up, buddy. But I'm gonna drop you back. I don't know what's happening. My thing's acting weird all of a sudden. I'm sure it has nothing to do with Mocha Pine, but
I'm paranoid that it is. Always.
well, it could be. I don't want to take no chances up here. So. Yeah, appreciate you coming up, buddy. It's always a pleasure. I'm gonna drop you back, but I don't know why, but the queue's acting weird all of a sudden. Like some of them I'm clicking on, and it's just going away and then coming back in the queue. So I don't know what's happening here. Like what? See, I don't know what the fuck. Why is it doing that? Hey Renee, you there?
Yeah, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? Are you a Christian?
I believe in God.
Cool, cool. Well, please, for the love of all humanity, prove this prompt wrong.
Well, it's not about even proving it wrong. First of all, the Bible's more like a guideline on how to live. You said something about slavery earlier. That was an institution that was already set in place back in ancient history. So you have to remember the Bible was written by humans. God didn't per se write the Bible. Humans wrote the Bible. So of course it's going to have its flaws.
I mean, I agree. That's why I think nobody should believe this nonsense.
I wouldn't say it's nonsense. It is a way to live.
Well, how do you trust it if it's just a bunch of flawed
It's not
man
about trusting it or not. How do you live your life without believing in anything?
I believe in plenty of stuff. I just don't believe in God's.
Well, something shaped your beliefs, right?
Yeah.
What shaped your belief to be atheist? Like,
Life
why do you
experience.
have such a sour taste on Christianity?
Because I read the Bible and it's disgusting.
You read the Bible from beginning to end.
Yeah, I've read it all. I read it every day here on this channel.
So why do you find it disgusting?
Because it allows things like slavery. It says you can beat them. It says you can sell your daughter as a
you keep
slave.
bringing up slavery. You keep bringing that
Yeah.
up.
That's kind of the
Okay,
issue
so
here.
we can all agree slavery's wrong, right?
Well, plenty of Christians don't agree with you.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people around the world that don't agree with that because they're still slaves today, right?
I know. And Christianity
And
is
those
perfectly
slaves-
fine with that
those
as
slaves-
a religion.
Those slaves believe in God, correct?
I don't know.
A lot of them
If
do.
I was a slave, I sure wouldn't believe in this God.
Well, you don't believe in this God right now.
I know.
For what reason, though?
Because none of this is true.
Okay, so
It gets
what
history wrong.
what do you
It
define
gets-
as truth? What you can see
What
and believe?
No, things that comport with reality.
Okay, well, who are you to say that Christianity doesn't comport with reality?
Because I can just read it and it's clearly not true. It's making stuff up.
But how can you prove that?
Because it doesn't line up with what we know to be true.
How do you know what you were told is true?
Because it lines up with reality.
What is okay? So that's your reality, though.
Right.
Just
Like,
because
if
you choose not to believe it doesn't mean other people should go along with what you believe in. Everybody has a freedom to believe what
Hey,
they want.
I'm not saying you have to go along with me. I'm just saying if I can show you that something is true, you should probably at least agree with me. But do what you
I'm not
want.
gonna.
That's
I
not the point
don't.
here.
Well, that's what you have me on here because I disagree with you. Correct?
It sounds like we agree that slavery is bad.
No, we do. We agree slavery is bad, but you say Christianity is the enemy of freedom and justice, which I disagree with.
Okay, well, show me from a Christian doctrine viewpoint how it's not 100% pro-slavery then.
It's not 100% pro-slavery.
Oh, you ticked out. You broke up, buddy.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you now. You was up there though.
So there was the Bible was written in ancient history. Like it was in a time when, like today, labor, a worker considered today that's being paid minimum wage at a fast food joint would be considered a slave, or working on a farm.
No, they wouldn't.
With ancient history, yes, indeed. How can they leave their job?
That's because they're not slaves.
Oh, you don't
Listen,
think that we have slavery?
Here
going
is the
on today?
lawful definition of chattel slavery. This is the lawful definition. Chattels,
Okay. I don't
a
give a shit about
movable
lawful
article
definition.
of person.
What does that say?
It says a movable article of personal property. That's what chattel is.
Okay, what does that mean?
A human being considered to be property is an enslaved person, a chattel slave.
So you don't think modern corporations have found a way around that? And that's
Do they
what we're
own
doing
people
today?
as property? Can they beat them as long as they don't die within a day?
Wouldn't
Can you say you want to go home from work anytime you want? Can you leave this country
I
anytime you
can?
want?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Okay, well, you're not a slave. Someone
No,
don't
I am
own you
not.
as
I'm not a
property.
slave. That's what I'm saying. The Bible was written in a time where slavery was considered part of the norm, just
I
like
know.
today,
That's why it's
society is considered part of the
100%
norm.
pro-slavery, because it was written in an ancient time when this was perfectly acceptable, especially by a God who was clearly evil. So I mean, like,
Clearly,
let's
God.
join me in the 21st century and let's dump
I
this
just told you though
nonsense
that the
here.
Bible was written by people back then, and
I already
people
know
are
that.
flawed. So
I
how do you
know,
know
but
that
you
that's
still
the, how do
believe
you
it.
know
You
that
signed
that's
up for this religion.
no? I signed up for believing in God and
This
God's
is what
word.
God says.
No, God is all love, brother.
How do you know God's word and what's written in the Bible? What's
Because
the
God,
difference?
because it's a feeling, it's a faith. You have to have faith.
So whatever you feel about God is what's true.
Whatever you feel as a person is what's true. If you feel what you're
What?
doing is wrong, that's wrong. That's God speaking to
Well,
you.
whatever. Christians use the Bible, and the Bible is 100% pro-slavery.
But
However
not
you
all
feel about
Christians
it
use
doesn't
the
mean
Bible word
Christians.
for word.
I know
If
all
Christians
Christians
use
all
the
feel the
Bible
same.
word for word, we would still have slavery.
Yeah, no shit. That's my problem here. And today, in
Because you have to
2026, some
take it
very
into
rich
context.
and
In
very powerful
2026,
Christians are openly and publicly calling to bring back slavery because it is 100% biblical.
there's no way that would happen, brother. Never in a million years would they
It
bring
will
back
happen.
slavery
It can
to the states of
happen.
America.
It will,
No
and it
way.
can.
No way.
Because there's
I
too
believe
many
it's
Christians
already
right
happened,
now
but you're
who are
saying you're
voting
showing me
for this evil
definitions
shit
about
and do
saddle.
not give a crap. What?
That is, yeah, there's very few people that believe in what you're talking about. But 80% of
No, you're just
Christians,
wrong. You're factually
that's
wrong.
not true. Okay. Oh, so
It
you're
is
trying
true.
to say that the majority of Christians are evil?
I would say the majority, yeah. No, I'm saying
That is,
Christianity.
you don't have any evidence to back that claim
There's
up, dude.
plenty of Christians who just call themselves Christians who are
There's
perfectly
plenty
good
of
moral
atheists
people.
that fuck little
They,
kids, bro.
yeah, there's plenty of Christians that do it too. So fucking
What's your
what? That's not
point?
getting us to the point here. What's your point?
Your point is that Christianity is the enemy of freedom.
It is.
It's not, though.
It is.
Use the
If you would
Bible.
listen to what I'm
You
actually
need to,
saying, it would
you
make
need
more
to put
sense.
on
I'm
here that the
saying there are
Bible.
plenty of Christians who are against Christianity.
But
Christianity,
what you're not saying, and what your point is that the Bible is pro-slavery. That's your
it
point.
is.
And your title is Christianity is an enemy of freedom and justice. And you're
It
saying
is.
Christian values are un-American and is
They are.
100% pro-slavery. That is not
Yep.
true.
It is true.
But you said the Bible says that. Not every
It
Christian is going
does.
to be
And
like,
if you would listen
take
to
the
me for the
Bible
first
literally.
time during this entire conversation, it would make sense. But every time I try to say the sentence, you keep talking.
Go ahead, say the sentence.
All right, listen. There are plenty of Christians like you that are against slavery. Yes?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, so you're not against slavery because you're a Christian. You're against slavery because you're a decent person. Christianity itself, as a doctrine, is 100% pro-slavery. It does not give a shit about freedom or justice. It gives a shit
Christianity
about
as the
serving
Bible.
the commands of this God as God's slave.
Okay, but the Bible was written by humans, and humans are
I know.
flawed, and humans could have
Yep.
really screwed the Bible up. Don't you think that?
And yet
could be the
you
case
signed
too?
up for their religion.
Nobody signed up. You keep saying that.
You did.
That's your
You're a
gaslighting
Christian.
when you do
You
that,
called
bro.
yourself a Christian.
I'm a Christian. I believe in God.
Okay,
100%.
so you
I'm
have
not gonna sit
accepted
here
the
and label
doctrine
it
of a
any way
broken
or
book that's been around for 2,000 years, and you think however you feel about it
Or
is the
more.
right way to do it.
or more.
Whatever, yeah.
So you're saying though now that no matter what, if you're a Christian, you're pro-slavery.
Yeah. I'm saying Christianity is pro-slavery. You, as a Christian, are pro-slavery, but you, as a decent person, are against slavery.
You
That's
also
what I'm
call
saying.
God evil, bro.
God is evil
How do you know?
because he sets innocent children on fire. That's fucking evil. He has women raped. That's fucking evil. He punishes people for being offended. That's evil.
Again, written by man.
Again, why do you even fucking believe any of this if it's just a flawed book?
Because
You
it's the
signed
idea,
up for their
dude.
religion.
It's the idea of faith. and having faith.
You made
and
up the
believing in
idea,
something
though.
higher
Nothing
than
you're saying
yourself.
comports with any of this actual doctrine here.
The doctrine of the Bible.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about God as a whole.
Yeah,
The
you've
Bible
made
was
up your
written
own
by
religion.
humans.
You've moved away from
The
the Bible and made up
Constitution was
your own
written by
religion
humans.
that you now call Christianity.
The Constitution was
freaking
written by
restriction.
humans.
I know.
So, okay, what is your idea of good and wrong then? If you have nothing
My
to
idea of good and
Yeah.
wrong?
If
My
you have
idea
nothing to
is
guide you.
personal freedom as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
That's your idea of good and wrong.
No.
So you can justify your own goodness in any way possible. Doesn't matter if anyone else is right or wrong.
No, didn't say that.
But that's kind of what you just said, bro.
You asked me what my idea was, and I told you personal freedom. As long as you're not hurting anywhere else, do what you want, and that's fine with me.
That's fine
And
with
you
me too.
proceeded to add on to that, so everybody else is wrong because you
No,
said
no, no, no,
something.
no. I
Like,
get what
no,
you're saying, bro. Listen, I don't. The Bible's wrong in a lot of sense, in a lot of ways, dude, because it was written in a different
Yeah, I
time.
know.
People had different values.
So, do you know how many Christians adhere to the Bible as a doctrine?
I'm sure there's a lot, dude. There's a lot of
Okay,
atheists.
so
too.
they are well within their rights to try to use their book to justify beliefs like being slavery, right?
I'm sure they probably do. There's probably a lot of Christians out there that are like, oh yeah, I love slaves. Like, cool. That's their.
Yeah, we
fuck
talk to
them.
them
They're
almost
bad
every
people.
day, and that's why I started this channel. So you
Okay.
should join me in reality and get away from these dangerous doctrines that are just written by men, and maybe not be on that side.
I'm on the side of God, bro.
I know, but God's on the side of slavery.
Jesus
You
is
can't
king,
argue
bro.
he's not.
No, yeah, I can argue that he's not. I just told you the Bible was written by man. And
No,
man
no,
is-
no,
man is
no, no,
God.
no. You said it's not because you feel that way. That's not a real answer. That's ridiculous.
Wait,
Show
what?
us doctrinally how God is against slavery.
Yeah,
Not just,
every
not
doctrine
just
was
say I
written by
feel like
man,
it, so it's
dude.
true.
Every doctrine was written by man. When you sit and pray, you're not writing a doctrine. You're praying.
Well, you're
to
just
God. You're
agreeing with
praying-
me then.
No, you're praying to something higher and a higher power. All you want is a doctrine in front of you to be told what to do. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I
You
want
want
you
to-
to show me doctrinally
you
how
need
God is
another
against
man.
slavery.
So you need another man to write something down for you to follow word for word.
What are you talking about?
You said you need a doctrine in front of you, bro.
I'm telling you to show me through your doctrine how God is not pro-slavery.
I don't follow a
And then
doctrine.
you're telling me I need you to
I don't
show
follow a
something else, do you
doctrine.
believe it?
If you read,
Like, what are
if
you talking
say
about?
if you say you read the Bible, bro, and there's every story has morals in there.
Yeah.
Like there's always an ends to a mean.
Okay, so why
that's-
the hell are you a Christian if you don't believe anything about the actual doctrine?
I believe in God, and I do believe in some
I
of the
know.
stuff.
You believe in the God of the Bible.
The Bible's treated as a guideline to follow. There's good
And
morals.
it's 100% pro-slavery. Great guideline.
It is not 100% pro-slavery, dude.
Then show us where it is not 1% anti-slavery. If you can show me 1% where it's against slavery, then I'm proven wrong here.
I don't know, dude, about the whole slavery shit. Like, I know that it was written in a time that slaves were a part of civilization, just like modern
Exactly.
day slavery.
Then it only makes sense that it is 100% pro-slavery.
The doctrine, the Bible.
I know. Christianity, yes.
I don't know how many. No, you keep saying Christianity, bro. God,
Oh my God.
the Bible was
All right.
written by man.
I know. Thanks for coming up, buddy, but I'm I could only go in a circle so many times. Like, holy shit. All right. I think Soul Purpose was next, and then DOS. Hey, Soul Purpose, you there?
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Thanks for asking. Are you a Christian, sir?
I am a Christian. Yes, I am.
Cool, cool. So please, for
Are
the
you-
love of all decency, prove this prompt wrong.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I can prove it wrong. I can show some points that point towards it definitely being wrong. Because what I find on here is that even if you try to prove something wrong, you show proof that it's wrong, people will find a way around it. So
That's
I'm not
fine. Show us
interested.
proof that it's wrong.
yeah. So Really quick, let me ask you: are you Muslim at all, or you just straight up just against all religion? I just want to
I'm
know
an
what I'm dealing
atheist,
with. You're an atheist. Okay, okay, all right, cool, cool.
even though it's
And I'm assuming,
irrelevant to the topic.
no. I just was wondering because I just want to know where. Because usually, if I pull up scripture and you're Muslim, you're like, well, that's corrupted in your way, then you'll argue with me on that. So I just want to make sure
Hey,
that
I
when I
would
show you
love to
scripture,
see some scripture. I would love to see some scripture that suggests you can't have slaves in the Bible.
all right. We'll put it this way: do you believe in? 'Cause I'm going to get to your point. I'm actually getting ready to answer your point right now. Do you believe in free will? If there is a God to you, you believe that He would
No,
allow free will. Okay, well, the Lord actually does. God actually does allow free will, and according to
incorrect.
Christianity, what's that?
Incorrect.
Well, I'll show you scripture on that here in a second. But anyway, I'm
I'll
gonna
show
show you
you
a couple.
scripture that backs up what I'm saying.
Okay. Um, your biggest argument is about Christianity and allowing slavery and things like that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna the Bible in and of itself, and I'm just I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you what I know. Okay. The Bible in and of itself is three things really. It's a prophetic book. According to Christianity, it's a prophetic book. It's a book of history, and it's a genealogy book. As far as the historical aspect of the book, you'll see a lot of stories in there that just because they're in the Bible doesn't mean that God is okay with it or cool with it. It's just one of those things where it's included in the book because it's part of the story. So
Hmm.
it's no different than if you were writing a book about today, and whether you are or aren't pro-Trump, you'll still include him in your book of history because he existed during this time. He's a leader during this time, and his rights and his wrongs would be included in that book if you decided to write it. So it doesn't matter if you agree with his teachings and by the way, I'm not even trying to come across as like I'm pro-Trump because I disagree with a lot of stuff he's doing. I'm just using that
No,
as a point.
I didn't take it that
I'm
way. Yeah.
okay. I'm just using it as a point to say that like if you were writing a legitimate book from your belief system on today, you would
Yeah.
write about what you see, what you hear politically and stuff like that. So the Bible was written in that sense. So just because slavery is included in the Bible does not mean that God adheres to slavery being okay. Like even when
I agree.
it just means that it's included in the book from a historical standpoint. Now when you
That would be
see
true.
now when you see Jesus maybe in a reference or in a parable talk about slavery, it doesn't mean that he's okaying slavery. He's just using it as a parable or a point of reference with regards to the time and the place that they're in at that
Well,
time. It's something that people can look at to like if they can look at to they can see it right there in front of them. They say, hey, to do this is just like slavery or something like that. Like he would use it as just a example. Doesn't mean that he's okay with it. Doesn't mean that he's okay with the act.
no, doesn't mean he's
And
not either. By the way.
well, the site. Well, I'm about to show you some things here in a little bit because I want you to see whether you take it or don't take it. It's fine. You don't have a Bible
Right.
in
Right.
front of you, do you? Do you have a
Yes,
Bible in front of you? You do have a Bible in
I
front of
do.
you. All right.
Every
Here's what
version
I
you
want.
want to read.
I do KJV because I'm just one of those people
Oh
that's not hard
God.
for me to read. So, but you know what? Whatever reference you have, just pull it up. Pull it up. I'm not
All right.
telling you to pull up KJV. Just pull up whatever one you have. Just
Gotcha.
don't pull up something crazy that says something super crazy. It's like, wow, that's even as a Christian, I can't agree with that. So, I just want you to pull up Matthew
Well,
7
before we get
21.
into all that, you do
Yeah,
understand that we're talking about more than Jesus just referencing slaves here in the book and in the stories.
you're saying
Slavery is
Christianity.
expressly permitted through the law code and God, by God.
Are you talking Old Testament or New Testament?
I'm talking about both.
You're talking about you're talking about Old Testament and New Testament. All right.
Yeah.
Well, New Testament mainly you see slavery more or less on the outskirts of outskirts of Israel. It was more or less more done on the outskirts of Israel, and I would say that even Israel during Jesus' time was more of a slave than it was a master because at the time of Jesus, especially Rome was in control, and they used a lot of uh, Jews as slaves. So it would be hard pressed for me to think that Jesus would be okay with slavery when his country in and of itself
Well, Jesus
was
said to
dealing with
follow God's
was dealing.
law and keep God's commands, right?
Well, Jesus said he said that I'll put it this way. It's in Matthew 7:21 through 23. Okay. Because you're saying Christianity. And
Yeah.
Christianity means it's I think people don't really get the reference with this a lot. Christianity means Christ like. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't be a Christian if you're not Christ like. So
Well, most
but people you
Christians aren't
but
Christ-like, but in fact,
well
all of them maybe.
and that's what that's the point I'm going to get to right now. In Matthew 7 twenty
Right.
one through 23, this is how God himself, and this is what Jesus himself warned for people who say that they're Christians and really aren't really living up to what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
Um,
lukewarm. I got you. We don't
yeah,
have to
no,
discuss
no,
that.
no,
I don't
no, no,
disagree.
no, no. It's beyond lukewarm. It's basically doing stuff in the name of God, but it's far from being
Well,
Christian.
whatever. Jesus says to keep
It's
the law. He says to keep God's commands. If you
well,
love me, you will keep my
well,
commands.
here, let me
Right?
just read this with me. Just read this with me really quick.
Well,
7
it's
21 through
irrelevant. I already
23.
agree with you on what it says. I know what you're going to say.
What does it say? 21 through 23. What does it say?
Yeah, let's do it. Self-deception.
In Matthew 7 21 through
Yeah,
23. What does it say?
yeah. It's
What does it
just
say?
Jesus saying, or maybe if I'm remembering right, it's just Jesus saying uh, that not everyone is going to enter heaven who calls on the Lord. Only those who do the will of the Father, right?
It says, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter in the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many
Yep.
will
So
say
you
unto
have to do the
me,
will of
hold
God
up.
to get to
No,
heaven,
no, no,
right?
no, 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 listen. It said, many will say unto me that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out devils? Haven't we done many
I
wonderful
know.
works in your
Yep.
name? And
hmm
then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye worker of iniquity. So you got a lot of people. You got a lot of preachers nowadays. You got a lot of
I get
Christians
it, but
nowadays doing
it's
all
not
doing
relevant,
all
man.
the. Yeah,
It's
it
not
is
relevant.
very relevant.
No, it's
It is
not.
very relevant because, oh,
It's not
for
relevant.
instance,
If you were doing what
if a person
God told you to do, you would probably
if a
have
person
slaves.
if a
So,
person no no if a person no if a person says that they're a Christian and they do something opposite of the character of God, then they cannot be
so
Christian.
where does Christianity suggest not to own slaves?
There is no scripture that says there should not be any slaves or anything
I
like that
know
because it
that. The
goes with because
problem
the Bible
is
isn't written
that
like
there
that.
is scriptures that say you can own slaves, and there's zero that says you can't. So what should I believe
Okay,
here?
show me scriptures that says that show me the entire context. Oh, now you want to go to scripture, but you don't want to go to scripture that where I was showing you
I,
the opposite. But
I
it's
already
okay. It's
knew
all
that
right.
scripture, and I agreed with you.
Yeah. No, I got you. You can show
So
me.
how are you calling me a scripture dodger when I'm agreeing with you and saying we don't have to read that one because I know what it says and I agree with you?
That's fine. Go to what you were going to.
All right. As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may
What
also acquire
scripture?
them from the aliens. This is Leviticus 25. And
Old
it
Testament.
says, you
Yeah.
may also, yeah, I know
No,
that. These are the
no,
same
no, no. I'm
laws
not.
that Jesus says to keep to get to God. So it says, you may also acquire them from the aliens residing with you and from their families who are with you, who have been born into your land, and they may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. And in Exodus 21, it says, when you buy a male Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, but in the seventh year he shall go out a free person without debt, unless you can give him a family he wants to stay with, then he has to commit to being a slave for life. In verse 7, it says, when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. Verse 20, it says, when a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's money, property.
I
Should
clicked
say
out of you
money.
by accident. My fault. I clicked out of you
Huh?
by accident. I clicked out of you by
What's
accident.
that?
I didn't realize it. You said that's Leviticus. What again? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's Leviticus 25, verse
Leviticus
44 through 46.
25, 24. Okay. Redemption of the land. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. I see where you're going. I see what your problem is, but you're not
Yeah,
reading
my
it with
problem is
you're
God
not
says
reading the
it's
context.
okay to own slave, and nowhere in the book does it say God was wrong about that. So it's 100% pro-slavery. It's
It's not pro.
allowing the institution of chattel slavery. It permits it. It says you can do this, and this is good and right in the sight of the Lord.
Okay. All right. There's also a law against blasphemy, Sabbath of the year. Okay, I see what you're saying. I would have to look into the context of it, but it's not saying that he's pro-slavery in the aspect of like
It
in the
is.
aspect of no. Listen, to what I'm saying. It's not. I heard the caller that you had on before, or the person that you had on before, and I'm trying to use this with a grain of salt. Because I know that you don't fully understand it, and it's not. I really can't. There's only so much you can do on TikTok.
Well, make us
What?
understand it.
Okay,
Because
so
I don't
like in
think
this.
you fully understand it. But we'll get there if we stay here long enough.
Okay, so during this time, there was they were Israel had lost land, and Israel was trying to redeem back their land. Everybody else
Yep.
around Israel were their enemies. So when it says you're allowed to go and take your God was allowing this as a punishment to Israel's enemies around. I know it doesn't you don't like to hear
He
that, but
says
it
you
is.
can enslave other Israelites.
It said, but you don't see the scriptures where he talks about on how to treat those people that are
Yeah,
under
he
your
says you can beat them as long as they don't die within a 24-hour period because they are your property.
where you see that at
Exodus
24.
21, verse 20. Exodus 21, verse 20. When a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's money.
He said Exodus 21 and 22.
Exodus 21, verse 20. You know, it says you can sell your daughter as a slave. If you go to war, you can take women and children as plunder, and you can force them to marry you, and then you can rape them after you marry them.
Okay, now you're at all that. Don't do that. 21.
That's what it says. It's talking about slavery.
Yeah,
It's
but
what
you're
war
adding
captives are. They're slaves.
yeah, but that's not what the Bible says. Don't add words if it's that
It
simple,
is what
man.
it says. It's exactly what it says. You want to read that part?
What about murder and injury? Okay, all right. I don't know the best way to explain this, but I know how to. I'll put it this way. During the earlier parts of the law, and the earlier parts when God was establishing the law with Israel, there was a lot of things that He allowed, and there was a lot of things that He allowed, and God can allow whatever He wants because He's God. There's a lot of
Yeah,
things He
including evil,
allowed.
right?
No, just listen. I'm not even trying to make you a non-atheist. I'm just telling you what it is. There's a lot of laws that were during that time that actually didn't fold over into Jesus' time, into the New Testament time. This was the earliest stage of
Slaves existed
of
1,600 years minimum
no, no,
after
no.
Jesus.
I'm not talking about the whole world. I'm talking about just Israel and
Oh,
themselves as a society. This is the
okay.
earliest stages of their society. So it was things that God allowed that would not be allowed during the latter time. Um,
So
they
that
were
is
it
factually
was
incorrect, and you just said something that is the
what
exact opposite of what God Himself said.
okay, what go ahead. What?
Here, I'll read it for you. It says, "These are the statutes and ordinances that you must diligently observe in the land that the Lord your God of your ancestors has given you to occupy all the days that you live on this earth." So God never meant for this to go away. And it says, "Be careful to obey all these words that I command you, so that it may go well with you and your children after you forever, because you will be doing what is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God." God does not give laws that are not just and are not good in His sight. They do not exist. So if God gives a law saying you can own slaves, according to God, that is good and right in His sight. That means all the laws and all the days you live on this earth forever. These aren't past times. It doesn't say I'm going to do this now, but later it might change a little bit. These are all eternal for God. He never meant for this to go away.
So there's also a law that says, "He that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." So if it says he stealeth a man and selleth him,
Yeah, that's about
so
kidnapping.
stealeth a man and selleth him. But kidnapping is also what?
Kidnapping is when you steal another Israelite. It says another
And
Israelite.
sell them.
That's talking
Sell
about
them for what?
Israelites.
No. It says, "And he that stealeth a man." It never said Israelite or not Israelite. It said,
It
"He that
does.
stealeth
It's
a man
reiterated in Deuteronomy
and selleth
24.
and selleth him, or if he be
If
put, he be
someone is
found in
caught
his hand,
kidnapping another
he
Israelite,
should be put to death.
enslaving or selling the Israelite, then the kidnapper shall die. You shall purge
And
the
he
evil
that
from your midst.
and he that curses his father or his mother shall be put to death. And
Yeah,
if
let's
he
talk
and
about killing your kids if they're evil to mother. Jesus even backs that up in Matthew chapter 15.
if a man strive together and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, if he rise again and walk, like, let me ask you this: I'm a Christian, okay? So, do you think, as a Christian, as a Christ follower, okay, that God still adhered to all this stuff during his time, during
Yeah,
Jesus' time? Because I believe Jesus
yeah,
is God. So you believe
absolutely.
that Jesus
When Jesus
absolutely
said, or when God says, do this
okay?
forever, all the days you live on this earth, that doesn't suggest he planned it to go away 500 years after that.
Okay, all right. Let's see.
You heard what I read from Deuteronomy 24, though, right?
You said
Verse 7
Deuteronomy
says,
24.
yeah, in verse 7 it says, if someone is caught kidnapping another Israelite, enslaving or selling the Israelite, then that kidnapper shall die. You shall purge the evil from your midst.
Why couldn't it
It's
be
talking
what
about
God?
Israelites.
The first verse said man. This one says Israelite. So why wouldn't you think that God would mean both? He meant both. If you kidnap a man,
Well,
and then
either
if you
way,
kidnap an
it's not
Israel,
saying you can't have
both of it's
slaves. It's just saying you can't kidnap someone and sell them as a slave. It's forbidding kidnapping,
what do you think?
not
What do
the
you think?
trade
What do you
of
think
slaves.
slavery is based off of? Plundering, taking somebody
You
from
can
one
you can
country, coming back,
legally
selling them.
acquire. You can purchase slaves from the nations around you. You can legally acquire slaves, or if you go to war against a nation, you can take women and children as captives.
Okay. Let me put it. Let me ask you
But you
this.
have to put all the males to the sword.
Okay. Let me put it this way. Are you going to try to? Are you going to sit on TikTok and you're going to say everything that you said, and people in here are going to believe what you said because that's how people function off of social media. But
Well, I
you're
hope
not
they
really
believe
going
me
to do.
because
But
I'm
you're not.
actually reading it and
But
proving
unless
what it
you,
says.
yeah. But unless you're willing to do an extensive study on
I've done
context.
it extensive. I've even been learning
Yeah.
Hebrew. Have you?
No. Yeah. But I'm talking about, like, are you willing to do a full context of the background of everything?
Yeah,
Why
I've been
things are
doing
said
that
the
for
way they
years.
said.
I'm in my
But
40s, man. I've been doing this for
from
a
a
long time.
are you willing to share that, whatever you learn? That
Yeah,
doesn't,
I
because I'm
got
sure
a
you ran
book right
across things.
here. I paid $100 for this
I'm
book from
sure. No, no,
a
no, no, no.
Hebrew Bible scholar.
No, I'm
And
talking
then I
about, are
have
you willing to?
annotated
No, no,
study
no,
Bible.
no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
This
talking
was
about,
about
are you willing
$60
to?
when I got it. This is a full study Bible of the NRSVUE, including Apocrypha with commentary. So I
Yeah,
think
but
I
are
know
you
what I'm
willing to
talking
share?
about.
No, it's not about knowing what you're talking about. It's about going on here and picking and choosing what goes with your narrative, and then spewing that out over the internet. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't
Yeah,
slavery back during that time. I'm not
like
saying that.
Christians do it over
But you're
the
not.
the nation.
Yeah, but your thing is, you're saying Christians do this, Christians do that, and
Yeah,
you
it
have a
is.
Christian
They do.
talking to you, and I'm not cursing at you. I'm not saying anything. Like, I'm trying to tell you that from a Christian standpoint. See, at the time, during this time,
No,
there's a
no,
lot
no,
of
no,
things
no.
that
You're not telling me this
there
from a Christian standpoint, though.
Christians didn't
You're
ex,
telling me
Christian.
you're telling me from your standpoint as a decent person, not from a Christian standpoint,
No,
because
I'm telling you from a
Christianity itself is
no
100%
no
pro-slavery.
no 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 no. Christianity
Yeah.
is Christ-like. You must have missed what I said in the
And
beginning.
Christ, Jesus, is
No,
100% pro-slavery, my man.
he's
He
100%
advocates for
pro-slavery.
keeping the commands of God. He chastises the
When he
Pharisees for
lived,
not killing their kids, as
seriously,
per the law of
where did?
Moses.
Tell me that, because I want you to see how that would go in agreement with Matthew 18:6 when Jesus
You
says
want me
it's
to
better
read it
than the
to you?
meals.
You want me
Read
to read
Matthew
it?
18:6. 18:6.
Well, first let's read the part where God is chastising the Pharisees for not killing their kids like the law of God commanded them. How
What
about that?
Jesus says you shouldn't kill, you should kill your kids based off the law. Is that what you're
Yeah.
trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and read this. This should be interesting.
All right.
Read it within I want you to read the verses
I
before
will,
and the
buddy.
verse
Don't
after.
worry. I'm
Read
going to
within
read it just
context.
like you want me to read it, loud and clear.
Where's it
Verse
at?
1 all the way through 7 in Matthew chapter 15.
Matthew chapter 15. Okay.
Yep. It's also in Mark chapter 7.
Which one are you reading?
Oh.
Matthew or Mark?
I'll read Matthew.
Okay.
All right. It says, Then the Pharisees and scribes came to Jesus. Actually, we'll break this down too, so we can't get lost in a long read here. So then the Pharisees and the scribes came to Jesus from Jerusalem and said, Why do your disciples break the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands before they eat. So can we agree that this first line is the Pharisees coming and asking Jesus, why are they breaking a tradition by washing their hands, right?
Matthew 15. What again? I'm sorry.
Verse 1 and 2. Or we're going to read all the way through 7, but we're going to...
Got you. Okay, go ahead.
We'll
go ahead,
stop
go
and
ahead.
make sure we're on track with the story here. Make sure we're
Yeah.
agreeing with what's happening.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So do you agree that first couple verses there, the Pharisees have came to Jesus and asked him why they are breaking a tradition of the elders by not washing their hands, right?
They asked a lot of questions about him breaking so-called traditions. Yeah, they did.
Right. Do we agree that's what's happening there?
They're asking him, yeah. Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
perfect.
I'm here with you. You
All
can
right.
continue reading.
Well, I'm just making sure we're on track because this tend to get lost, so I'd like to keep us
No.
in order here.
Zero loss here.
All right.
You can keep reading.
Perfect. So verse 3, and then he answered them, and why do you break the commandment of God for the sake of your tradition? So God is accusing them of breaking God's commandments for keeping that tradition, right?
Why do you transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?
For
Okay.
the sake of your tradition. So he's
Well,
accusing them of breaking
well,
commands, right?
mine doesn't say that. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on, what version are you reading? We'll make sure we're
I'm
getting
I'm
the same
I'm,
words here.
I'm reading KJV, but I'm not asking you
Oh,
to
that's
change
right.
over
You
to
said
mine.
that.
Yeah.
Here,
So
let's
you
just
go
do that. That way we're making sure we are reading the same
Because
thing.
I don't agree with a lot of the other versions because I feel like sometimes they add stuff or take away stuff, and it's like
Well,
that's just me. That's just me.
you're
So
literally reading the worst one about that, but I mean, whatever. Anyway, but he answered them and said unto them, Why do ye also transgress the commandment of God for your tradition? So he's saying they're transgressing the commands of God for tradition, right? So he's accusing them of not adhering to the command of God. They're breaking it.
Well, that's because they place a great deal of religion in supposing that the meat they touch with unwashed hands would be
Right. Well,
divine.
no, I'm just trying to keep us on track of
Yeah,
this
I'm
story
just telling you
specifically.
why. I'm just giving you context of why he would ask. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. But I'm just asking if you agree with me on what it's saying here. And then we can move
Okay.
forward.
Yeah, it's fine.
So Jesus
Yeah.
said, Why do you transgress the commandment of God? So he's accusing them of not keeping the commands, right?
Right. Go ahead.
All right. Next verse, verse 4. For God commanded, saying, Honor thy mother and thy father, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death.
Yeah.
So there he's accusing them of not keeping the command of putting to death one who speaks evil of father and mother, right?
Yeah, but he's not saying they should go and kill their kid. He's saying they're not holding accountable. They're not holding
If you
accountable.
don't honor your
children.
father or mother, you
That's not what that
curse
scripture
your
means.
father or mother. It is talking about the child of that father and mother, isn't it?
That's not talking about physically killing the child. That's not what that scripture is saying. You're taking it out of context. I can tell you
What
it's
does
why.
die the death mean? I knew that this is where this was going to get lost. It's funny how we agree exactly right up until the point where it gets to the point where you need to disagree as a Christian to look good. So
I'm not trying to
hold
look
on.
good. I'm
I
telling
can-
you what the scripture means.
No, we agreed exactly with the first 3 verses. Didn't even have to argue about it. And then we come to the verse that explicitly says, He that curses father or mother shall die. And you're telling me that doesn't mean put them to death?
There's a verse that also says, "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth." Yeah, there.
I know,
That's
and it says
literally
if you don't do that, you have to put them to death, doesn't it?
no. It just means that there's a curse that comes upon kids who actually dishonor their father and their mother.
So you're calling Jesus a liar?
No, I'm agreeing with what he said within the context of what
You're
he
not.
means.
You're saying it says the opposite of what it actually says.
I feel like you're trying to find an excuse as to not agree with what I'm trying to tell you
Here, I'm
because
going
it
to
wasn't
read an
clear.
actual English version that's understandable. Here, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll
Yeah,
read
go
from the
ahead. I
New
told you
King
to read
James
whatever you
version
want.
because this is contemporary English and it's still the King
I,
James.
I said you can read
All right.
whatever version you want.
For God commanded, saying, "Honor your mother and your father, and he who curses father or mother, let him be put to death." What do you think that means?
You said you're reading out of Mark.
Matthew
Let
chapter
me put the
15.
This is Jesus talking. Jesus talking from
I
a place of
know
authority.
that.
Yeah, I know.
And
So
when
he's
he
talking from a place of
says,
authority.
"He who curses father or mother, let him be put to death."
He means what he says. He says what he means. Yeah, if a kid curses his mother and his father.
Exactly. So we agreed
But
that in
there's
verse
also a
3,
story.
hold on. We
Okay.
agreed that in verse 3, he is accusing them of breaking the command of God, right? We agreed on that already.
So let me just put it into context for you from
Do
what
we
Jesus
now
says.
not
No,
agree?
no, listen. Are you willing to listen to what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm gonna say
Can
what
you
you want me
answer
to
my
say.
question I just asked you?
I'm saying what you want me to say. There was a
No,
story
it's just a yes or no. Did we agree in verse 3 that Jesus
that
was
Jesus
accusing
agreed
them of breaking the commands of God?
of not holding their children accountable. Yeah, I can say that. And
Okay,
them
so
not.
Jesus is accusing them. Damn it, got a spam call. Jesus is accusing them of breaking the commands for the sake of their tradition, right? Did you hear me?
He's accused. Yeah, it went out for a second.
Yeah.
He's accusing them of not staying true within the tradition of what God told him to do. Right?
Which is breaking the command of God, right? I thought we already agreed on this.
I'm agreeing to you that Jesus actually, yeah, he spoke to them about not holding their kids accountable, and
Right, and
that's
he
a
says
curse
that
upon
is
them if
breaking
they
the
do.
command of God, right?
Why is that? Let me ask you this. Why would that be? At the time, he's telling them that's okay. How do I put it?
He's accusing
When
them of
Jesus,
breaking,
when
he's
Jesus,
calling them hypocrites for breaking the command of God. And he says, "For God commanded, he who curses father and mother, let him be put to death."
okay, so
He
if
is
Jesus really
accusing
believed,
them of not doing this. They are breaking the command of God by not putting disobedient children to death.
no, he's saying that a curse would be upon disobedient children. If he believed in death being the
He
consequence,
who curses
okay,
father or mother, let him be put to
are you gonna
death.
keep interrupting me, or are you gonna let me talk?
I'm trying to keep you on track because you're
I'm
trying to get away
staying on
from what it
track.
actually says.
I'm not getting away from what you're saying. I'm trying
Jesus
to
is
add
saying,
context to what
"He
you're saying.
who curses mother or father shall be put to death."
When they were trying to stone the woman that was accused of adultery, what did he do?
He
If he was
literally
so
says, "Let he who has no sin cast the first stone." He did not say, "Don't throw the first stone." And they broke the law anyway because they didn't bring the man and the woman, which is what the law requires. There
that's
should have been a
and
man
so he's
and a
stopping
woman
them
there.
from. He said he who was without sin cast the first stone. So he knows that they know not going to be able to
He
cast the first
didn't
stone because
say,
they're not
"Don't
without
throw
sin.
it." And that's a fantastic shift.
Because
But
there's
what
no
is he saying?
well, if he had no him not having any sin, why didn't he throw a stone?
He caused them to sin, and they weren't being legal in the first place
So
because they
no, so
did
there
not
you
bring the
go.
woman and the man.
There you go. In and of
They
itself, he said
didn't
he who
follow
has
the
the
law. They
yeah, you're right.
sinned by breaking the law twice in that one verse, and Jesus caused them to sin one of those times. So this isn't helping your story.
It actually is. What you're trying to
Okay,
say is
what does
that
verse 4 in Matthew 15 mean?
in Matthew 15, verse 4, Matthew
Matthew
15, I
15,
literally
verse
just told you.
4, he says, "He who curses
He that
father and
curses the
mother
father,
must
let
be
him
put to
die
death."
the death. Let him die the death. That's a curse. It is. I'm not running away from it. I'm telling you what it is. It's a curse.
So you understand that Jesus is saying they broke this command, right?
Let him die to death is a curse. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a curse, it's a punishment. The Old Testament in Exodus and Deuteronomy says if your child speaks evil or curses father and mother, they shall die. You have to stone them to death. That's the law. It's not
Okay.
saying you shall
I'll
curse them.
grant. Okay, I see what you're saying. So I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. But
Right.
why
So,
did you?
oh, perfect.
I mean, do you see Christians nowadays doing that though?
No, thank fuck. But you're saying as a Christian, you have to follow Jesus. Jesus is telling them to follow commands. He's accusing them of breaking the command and not putting disobedient children to death. So as
That's
a
you.
Christ-like
That's
Christian,
Judeo.
you should be following the commands of God like Jesus told the Pharisees to do and putting your disobedient children to death if they speak evil of you. I'm saying as a Christian, if you saw another Christian stone their children to death for speaking evil, you should join them in that stoning as a Christian and do what Jesus said.
No, that's not what that means.
Yeah, it is
That's
what
not
it
what that
means.
means.
I know you
That's
don't want to
definitely not
accept
what it
that,
means.
but it's true.
There's a lot
What
of
does the
stuff that
commandments of
I'm
God
saying
say
is
in regards to children who curse father and mother?
it says children obey. It says honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth.
And what does it say to do if a child does not honor father or mother?
That thy days may be long upon the earth. That it speaks pretty
Now you're just lying.
plainly.
What does it say to do to a child who curses or speaks evil or disobeys
Where?
father and mother?
You mean in the Old Testament?
In the Old Testament and the New. This is what Jesus
It's
is
in the Old Testament.
chastising the
It said let it
Pharisees
said
for
stone.
in the New Testament. So what does the law of God say to do? We're not talking about the... Oh, there he goes. Yeah. Oh, man. I hear you, buddy. I hear you. Oh, shit. Damn. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. That was a awfully convenient time to leave right then. About the time that you realize that following Jesus means following the commands of God. And the commands of God say to kill your motherfucking kids. And it is disgusting and it is beyond evil. And you know that. Who's still a cool guest, though. Honestly, I wished almost everybody was like him. As far as, just talking to people. Holy shit. Anyway, I think I'm about to have to pull it to a close for the day. Let's see where we're at here. Ah, crap. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to I've got like a whole bunch of minutes. Anyway, thanks everybody for coming. I do got to pull this one out. It was, we got 2 hours and we had to do a reset. We've been restricted for quite a while now. But, still got some good conversations, I guess. Even got entertainment out of Milkapine. That's pretty cool. Anyway, guys, I will catch y'all back on the morrow. I think I can run a longer stream tomorrow. And we'll do it again tomorrow. As for now, let me see if we can... If there's somebody sending... Anyway, fuck MAGA. Fuck Trump. Fuck Christian nationalism and the horse they rode in on, but not the actual horse, because we're not God, and we don't hamstring horses just because an enemy rode them. We are not that evil. Fuck slavery. But happy Pride Month. It's one of the last days there. Let's have whole lots of prides. That's fucking awesome. Guys, catch me back later. Don't forget to check out Dr. Joshua Boeing's material on digitalhammurabi.com. And we'll catch y'all back on the morrow to argue with some more Christians, I guess. We'll catch you later, guys.